us as we accompany each other in this meeting and asking him to accompany us as we go back to our own destination. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Please stand with me as we pledge allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Is the mic on? Can y'all hear me out there? Okay, thank you. Board of Adjustments is a 9-member board. We're appointed by the City Council, and we serve on a voluntary basis without compensation. Our procedure for conducting business is that I will call out the name of the petitioner. Please come to the podium, speak loudly and clearly into the mic, and present your request. And anyone in the audience who cares to address that particular item will be given the opportunity to do so. Once we receive public testimony on that particular item, the members of the board will deliberate and we will render our decision. I'll remind the members that are here tonight, if you have a personal or a financial interest in any item, you're required to recuse yourself from voting. Any testimony that is submitted by the petitioner or on behalf of the petitioner during the presentation of the agenda item will be binding as to any decision the board makes relative to the motion. I'll remind the members of the board, if you make a motion to deny, you must provide a reason. At this time, I'll introduce the members of the board that are here tonight. Ms. K.T. Brown is our vice chairman, Mr. Blake Markham, Mr. Bo Holmes, Mr. Corey Johnson, Mr. George Howell Jr., and I'm John Stanley, your chairman. Our recording secretary with the City of Montgomery is Tanya Ingram. Any questions? We have 6 members here tonight. It takes 5 votes to approve a motion. If you feel as though that might not, or for some reason you want to withdraw or delay your item, you can do so. Otherwise, we'll hear it. But it takes 5 votes to approve a motion. We have 11 items on the agenda tonight. So far, we don't have any delays or withdrawals. We'll start the meeting with item number 1, presented by Daniel Yancey, requesting a street side yard variance for a new privacy fence to be located at 3236 Cloverdale Road in an R75S zoning district. Mr. Yancey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Very simple request. My name's Don Yancey. I live at 3236 Cloverdale Road and have for 40 years. My request is to be granted an easement to put a wood privacy fence on the side of my backyard that abuts Pershing, which is a side street that connects Cloverdale Road and LeBron Avenue. It's replacing an existing wire fence that's old and has been damaged by limbs falling on it, and it needs to be replaced, and I would like to replace it with a wood privacy fence. The fence is in the middle of the block. It's not close to an intersection. It doesn't block any view. It doesn't block any of the driveways that are there, on that. And I would simply request to be granted permission to replace that old fence with a new one.
Mr. Yancey, what is the proposed height of that fence?
It's a 6-foot wood privacy fence.
And that's compliant with zoning?
Well, he needs a height variance too, and we left that out, so we're going to have to re-advertise it, but he won't have to come back if y'all approve it.
Okay. You understand that, Mr. Yancey?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll not have, we'll have to advertise it, but you don't have to come back.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay? But it'll be presented, it'll be on our agenda the next meeting, correct?
It won't need to be. If you approve it tonight, it'd be contingent upon the legal advertisement.
Okay, as a 6-foot high fence?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Any discussion, board members? Does anyone in the audience care to address this item? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Mr. Holmes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Have a second?
You forgot my name.
No. A second from Ms. Brown. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Motion to approve with the height.
Height, yes.
6 foot height.
Correct, with the 6-foot height.
Got it.
Wouldn't it be contingent upon being re-advertised?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody get it? All in favor of the motion, raise your hand. You good?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
You're
it,
very
ladies
welcome.
and gentlemen.
Board members, item number 2 is coming up. We've got a handout on that particular item. I haven't had time to read it,
I read.
so we'll let Mr. Brown deal with that. Item number 2 is presented by Jamel Brown. Representing the Jamel Brown Center, requesting a special exception for a community outreach program to be located at 1036 Mill Street in an R60D zoning district. Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a pleasure to see you all once again a year later. This place will be used to help my community. For many years, I have operated my nonprofit organization out of my home. I have did so much to make the West Side a better spot for our kids, our youth, and our adults. And God led me to this building, this place, and I want to be able to partner with other organizations that we can give the food, the clothes, resources, literature and stuff to help our community that is in desperate need. We'll be having our monthly meetings here twice a month. We'll be open from Sunday through Saturday from 8 to 3 and be by appointment. So say you got a mother in Gill's Village and she need food to feed her kids. She can come to 1036 Mill Street. She can get an appointment and we will have a box waiting outside for her. And that's what we're going to use this place to continue to do good. And it's a must needed, especially for the west side of Montgomery, sir.
Okay. Question about parking.
Yes,
It's
sir.
addressed here. You've got some parking behind the building, I guess, correct?
No, sir, it's on across the street.
Well,
from-
I know, but you do have some behind the building or on any on site?
yes, sir.
Okay.
To
You've
your
got
right
that.
of the picture.
Yeah. But the property across the street, do you own that? Do you control that? What's to prevent that from not being available at some time in the future?
I actually control it. I took responsibility like several other property. I'm gonna say my organization, I'm not gonna say me, is owned by the state through taxes. And we've been cutting the grass, we've been keeping it up, so the inspectors haven't been coming over there to put nothing there. So we're gonna use that for additional parking. But the 4 parking spaces on the property is just for staff members only. But to remind you all, this is gonna be for like appointment only. Like, we ain't gonna have 10 or 20 people coming at the same time. It just pick up, go, pick up, go. And we did something like that on Fairview in October where we fed over thousands of folks. So we have to go back to Fairview one time. We do the food truck, we'll do that. But for now, we're using that to store this stuff and be able to give that stuff away.
Right. Well, we all know about the traffic there at Mill and Oak. It's
Yes,
heavy
sir.
sometimes.
Yes, sir.
And so if we approve this, we'll have to make sure that no off-site parking is allowed on the street. Now, you can
Yes,
park,
sir.
you know, if you've got a lot to
Yes,
park
sir.
on, that's fine.
Yes, sir.
But no on-street.
Yes, sir.
We call it on-street parking on
Yes, sir.
Oak Street or Mill Street.
Yes, sir. And it is hectic. You got a point there. It's bad traffic. And, you know, yeah.
Yeah. So it's nonprofit.
Yes, sir.
It will not be used for cooking, business, entertainment, nor make money for profit.
No, sir.
I'm reading that from our
Yes,
agenda
sir.
here.
Just donations. I've talked to Pastor Ken Austin and just give y'all a little feel. This place is just going to be a connecting link. So if you got some kids that say, hey, we need tutoring, I can go to Tashina Mars and send them to her organization, T.S. Mars Ministry, or I can send them to MAPS over there on Delano with Ken. Also, I send them to Council Street. That's what the pamphlets and literature for. So, you know, we just that connectedly. I'm working with other nonprofits so we can really help our kids. And y'all know how serious I am with that.
All right.
But
Well,
it won't be no business, no
We,
none of
we
that.
admire and appreciate what you're doing.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman, from the bottom of my heart.
Any questions, board members?
I'd like to make a statement in thanking you for coming into the community. I have gone into the community when they've crowded the streets, going
Yes,
into
ma'am.
those houses and everything.
Yes, ma'am.
I've talked with you, I've talked with some of your board members.
Yes, ma'am.
I see where you're parking, I've gone into your
Yes,
building.
ma'am.
And I love you.
I love you.
for
Thank you.
working with those young people.
Yes,
because
ma'am.
they need help.
Yes, ma'am.
Amen.
May I make a motion?
Not yet.
Question.
Mr. Howell?
Mr. Brown, do you own
Yes, sir.
this property or lease it or what?
I'm leasing. I brought my information this time if y'all would like to see it. But yes, sir, I'm leasing it.
Okay,
I saw it.
that's cool. That's all I want to know.
Thank you, Mr. Howell.
Okay. Any other questions, board members? Is anyone in the audience that would care to address this item? Who made the motion? Bo Holmes. Have a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Brown. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion as presented, please raise your hand. You approve.
Thank y'all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and may God bless you as you go forward. Item number 3 is presented by Adina Cramer, requesting a special exception to keep chickens on the property located at 649 Sandhurst Drive in an R85 single-family zoning district. Ms. Cramer?
Yes, my name is Adina Cramer, and I'm requesting to have 6 chickens in my backyard.
No rooster.
Anything?
No roosters.
No roosters, no hens.
Okay. And your coop is in compliance with the chicken guidelines for our coops,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay. Tanya, did this come in as a complaint?
No. She works with us and she knows our rules, so she came to us.
Okay. That helps.
Yeah.
Adina, I didn't even recognize you there.
I know these masks, they don't do much
Okay.
good. Hi.
Okay. Any question, board members?
Entertain a motion.
Anyone in the audience care to address this item?
Entertain a motion.
I will.
I so move.
Have a
Special
motion.
exception to keep 6 chickens, no roosters.
No roosters.
Second.
Who's second? Mr. Johnson? Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous.
Thank you.
Item 4 is presented by Cadavius Jones, requesting a special exception to keep chickens in the property located at 1776 Young Farm Road in an R85 single-family zoning district. Mr. Jones?
Mr. Chairman, committee, I make a special request. I've lived at this property for about 5 years. I purchased this property in extreme disarray. I have been, in that time, rebuilding that property. from the exterior of it to the interior. Now I'm at the point to which I'd like to begin on the landscaping. Included in that, I wish to have a garden in the rear with the chickens. I would like to have this in compliance with the guidelines for chickens, also with the Code of Ordinance, Chapter 4, as it relates to animals and treatment of those animals. And then also, if need be, I have supporting documentation, guidelines, and published papers by Alabama A&M, as well as Auburn University, as well as University of Arizona.
Very well. 2 chickens, no roosters.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In compliance with the guidelines.
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Anybody in the board care to address this item? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So be it.
I have a motion from Ms. Brown. Do I have a second?
No roosters.
No, ma'am.
Yeah. Mr. Markham seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Good luck. Item 5 is presented by Roosevelt Harris, requesting a separation between structures variance for an addition to the dwelling located at 1812 Gibson Court
Yes, sir.
in an R65D zoning district. Mr. Harris.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You want permission to build a covered deck that will come within 2 feet of an accessory structure where it's a 10-foot separation is required.
Yes, sir.
So
The
you're asking
deck-
for an 8-foot variance.
Yes, sir. The deck already there, and 2-foot deck, 7 foot wide, and the purpose that I want to get permission by the grace of the Lord that we set out on it. We can't really enjoy it because on my side that I had spent $1,400 get the tree limb cut down on my side, but the next house got the big limb running across there, and my neighbor, I mentioned to him, he said he had somebody cut the tree down, but he never did do it. He said that if I go and do it, it's all right, and I had the tree man come out and give me an information on it. He said like $2,000. I told him I can't afford to pay $2,000 on his property to cut the limbs out. I figure if, by the grace, if I can get a permission to put some type of cover over there to keep the debris from falling over me and my wife, we can sit out and enjoy that day.
I got you. Okay. All right. Any question, board members? Anyone in the audience care to address this item? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Ms. Brown makes a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Howell. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve, please raise your hand. You got it.
Thank you very much.
We'll let you deal with your neighbor.
Thank you.
Item number 6 is presented by Eric Garner. Mr. Garner, requesting a coverage variance for an accessory structure to be located at 6100 Blackstone Drive in an R60S zoning district. Mr. Garner?
Thank you, sir.
How you doing?
I'm good. How about you, sir?
Good.
Council.
Thank you.
I've got a 95 Corvette that I restored, and right now I'm having to put a cover over that car. And looks like for the last 10 years I've been buying covers once every 2 years or so. Now I bought a motorcycle. I've got a new Harley, and now it's sitting on my patio in the back with a cover over it. So I'm here to request a variance to build a 2-car garage in the back of my property. That's adjacent. Behind there is the storm drain. I already have one building out there that's 225 square feet. I believe it might be a little smaller, but. And so this new garage would be a 24 by 20 deep detached garage. So I'm asking for a variance to build that garage.
Okay, and our agenda says that the smaller building is no longer on the property,
That is
right?
correct.
That is
That
shown
building
on
has-
here.
Yes, sir, that building has been demolished. This, the one that's shown in the center there.
Okay. So, you're not going to use, as I understand it, you're not going to use this new building for hobbies. You're using it to park vehicles.
That's correct, storage of vehicles.
No plumbing.
No plumbing, no
Okay.
sir.
Okay. All right. Any questions, board members? Anyone in the audience care to address this item? I'll entertain a motion.
I saw no problem with it, so I guess I'll make that motion.
Are you making a motion?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Brown makes a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Have a second for Mr. Holmes. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, please approve. Please raise your hand. It's approved. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Garner.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, council.
Good luck to you. Item number 7, board members, this has had a correction since the original agenda, so look at your corrected version. It's presented by Natasha Belzer, requesting a height variance and a street side yard variance for a fence located at 5825 Hyde Park Drive in an R65S zoning district. So here we're asking for a 3-foot height variance and a 30-foot side yard variance. The fence comes to the side property line. The fence is already in place, is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, go ahead and tell us again what you want to do.
Okay, I'm Natasha Belzer. This is my husband, Alex. We lived at the property approximately 1 year. We're requesting a variance to keep our fence. It's 6 feet high, is 48 feet in length, and we had it installed to ensure protection from our neighbors. Since we lived on the property, there's been a couple verbal altercations, and we just did it to ensure the safety of our family.
So Tanya, this fence is coming all the way to that property line, different than shown on this drawing?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
All the way.
yeah, all the way to that property line.
Burbank, is that the property?
Yeah, be the
On
North
Burbank.
Burbank property line, right. Okay, any question, board members? Anyone in the audience care to address this item? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Mr. Blake Markham makes a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Howell makes a second. Any discussion, board members? All in favor, as presented, please raise your hand. It's unanimous.
You're approved.
You got
Thank
it.
you so much.
You got it. That was easy, wasn't it?
Thank you all.
Ms. Belzer.
Thank you for coming in. Item 8 is presented by Donald Fuller, representing Randy Myers, requesting a special exception for a mobile home for living purposes to be located approximately 3,000 feet west of Casada Ferry Road and approximately 450 feet north of Maddox Court in a flood hazard zoning district. Mr. Fuller?
Good afternoon. Thank you for your time. I'm Donald Fuller, and I'm asking for permission to put 32 by 76 mobile home on the proposed property. The property is owned by my father-in-law, who's here with me today, Mr. Myers, and I'm prepared to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay. So it's off of a private street, correct, which is Maddox Court, is that right?
It's off of the 4500 block of Casada Ferry.
Yeah.
Could you say that again?
It's off of the 4500 block of Casada Ferry Road.
Yeah. But it's off of Maddox Court, which is a private street or road,
Well,
right?
the actual entryway is off of Barker, which is a private entryway. It's between Adams and Brunson.
Okay. All right. Is it going to be situated in the approximate location shown on this drawing?
Actually, where the proposed mobile home site is, it's the best way I can describe it is that green blob behind it is a giant oak tree, and it will be just in front of that.
Okay.
But yes, within 20, 30 feet.
We try to locate an approximate location of a mobile home so that it's not too close to another mobile home or to a single family, or it's not too close to a public road.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if it looks like to me you're locating it almost in the center of that 50 acres.
Yes, sir.
That about right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, got you. You will not use this for rental purposes, is that correct?
No, sir.
For your own primary residence,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay.
Are there any other,
Excuse me?
are there any other mobile homes located there? I didn't-
Are there any other mobile homes in that particular area? I believe there are, correct, Tanya?
Yeah, there are.
We've approved a lot over the
There's
years.
several out in that area.
Right,
Oh, okay.
yeah, right. Okay. Any other questions, board members?
Entertain a motion.
No, ma'am, not yet. Is anyone else in the audience that anyone has an interest or a particular question about this item? Now I'll entertain a motion.
So be it.
Have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Johnson? Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. You're good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, board.
Thank y'all. Item 9 is presented by Alyssa Grant, representing Linda Roberts, requesting a special exception for a mobile home for living purposes to be located on the south side of Washington Road, approximately 500 feet east of West McLean Road, in an Ag 1 zoning district.
That's correct. Good afternoon,
Hello.
Mr. Chairman, board members. This is for my son and his wife.
We need your name, please, sir.
My name is Todd Grant.
Tom?
Todd Grant.
Okay. You got that, Tanya?
Yes.
Okay.
Todd
All right.
Grant.
Yes.
We have to have that for the record.
I understand.
Okay.
So this is to install single-family residential mobile home on the property.
Yeah. Okay. I have my typical questions to be used for single-family personal use, correct?
Yes, sir.
Not
that's
for rental
correct.
purposes.
Single family.
Not for rental purposes.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. Looking at its location to Wadston Road, how far back are you saying that you're going to put it? That's the key. You've got a lot of land here, correct?
Yes, it's a little further back than where it's further back from the road than that labeled rectangle.
Well, it's hard to tell how far it is according to this. Is it shown 50 feet back or 200 feet back?
I've got another, if Tanya can display this, where I can give you a copy of it.
Let me pass it around from
It's
here.
50 feet where I have it on that map.
That's not going to get it. You're going to have to, you may need to talk to somebody about, yeah, well, this is a little better, but it still doesn't tell us how far back from Washington Road. How critical is it that it sits in that location? Can it move back further?
It can move back further, but there is a power line easement that runs through there, which the power company has already marked off where their easement extends, and he's out of their easement, and he's, I'd say he's at least 125 or 150 feet off of Wasden Road.
The power line easement is?
No, the trailer will be.
Yeah. See, I don't know of any trailers in that particular area that are that close to Washington Road. Does the power line easement prevent you from going back deeper?
Yes, it does.
So where's the power line easement?
The power line easement is 100 feet wide, and it runs almost with the center of those existing power lines. They've since changed those to, they're no longer doubled like that. They've installed a single power pole, and they have 50 feet on either side of those.
Can you move it where the other structures are on this property and the other side of the property? Either in front of or behind?
Yeah. We don't know where that property line is. You know, you got 150 acres here, right?
Yes.
And this board wants these mobile homes as back far off of a public road as possible, okay?
He's pushed it, I mean, where the image I just gave you, that's,
Right.
That's pretty far off the road. It's further off than I would say that one with the horseshoe driveway just north and to the west of it is.
Well,
Can we say it has to be 250 feet off the road?
yeah. Okay.
Wherever he wants to put it on the property, it has to be 250.
Okay. Okay. You can make that part of your motion. All right, hold on just a minute. Any other questions, board members?
Yes. How big is this mobile home? What's the size of it?
It's 16 feet wide and 78 feet long.
16 by 78?
Yes, sir.
But it's all one piece?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, any other questions, board members? Anyone in the audience care to address this item? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Holmes?
I'd like to make a motion
Mr. Holmes, talk in one of the microphones next to you.
Is that what?
I'd like to make a motion to approve based on the mobile home being located at least 250 feet off the road, and he can locate it anywhere on the property, but it has to be at least 250 feet off of Wasden Road.
Okay. Have a second?
Second.
Second. Mr. Markham, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion as presented, requiring the mobile home to be at least 250 feet off of the Wasden Road right-of-way or property line? All in favor of that motion, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. You got it, Todd?
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 10 is presented by Baker Donaldson, representing Tillman Infrastructure LLC, requesting a special exception for a cell tower to be located on the north side of Ashley Road, approximately 1,500 feet west of West Boulevard in an Ag 1 zoning district and an R65D duplex residential zoning district. Hello, Andy.
Good evening. My name's Andy Rotenstrike. My address is 420 20th Street North in Birmingham. Good to see you guys again. I'm here on behalf today of Tillman Infrastructure, which has been asked to construct a cell tower to get coverage in this area for AT&T. So that's the basis for the request, is to get AT&T's coverage in this area. The owner of the property is Clarence Wood. Mr. Wood is here with us back on the back row today. It's zone R65. In your ordinance, under R65, towers are allowed with a special exception. So we're here requesting that special exception today. We are proposing a 195-foot tower with a 4-foot lightning rod. So we're staying under the 200-foot threshold for lighting. So this tower will not be lit. So let's talk about why we need the tower. So this is a coverage site for AT&T. They've had some complaints from customers in the area. The coverage is not where it needs to be in that area, so we're trying to bring the coverage up to where it is in other parts of Montgomery. The first thing we do is look for existing towers in that area, which AT&T can just hang their antennas on. Much quicker, much cheaper for AT&T. So AT&T looked around this area. There is actually one tower within a mile. It is almost 4/10 of a mile to the east. AT&T looked at going on that tower. It's owned by a company that AT&T gets on their towers quite a bit. But I have some maps to show you to show why that tower would not work for AT&T. And because it wouldn't work for AT&T, they weren't able to get on it. So by getting on that other tower, it doesn't meet their objectives, and so they wouldn't be able to use it. Because of that, they need to build their own tower and have asked Tillman to do so, and that's why we're here. So if I could pass this out to you so you can see what I'm talking about.
Thank you. Wow.
So let me go through these handouts and kind of show you how we got to the conclusion of needing the tower. I'm going to look at this handout first, which is the aerial view. So what this first page will show you is where we're going on the property. So you can see Ashley Road running kind of east-west at the bottom of the page. We're going to enter the tower compound off of Ashley Road. That blue line is our access easement to the property. You can see we're going in kind of an open field. The good news is it's got a lot of woods to the east and to the south to block the view from the street. Also, there are some residences off to the east, which will be well shielded with the wooded area you see there. The orange square is the area that Tillman is going to lease from Mr. Wood. So within this orange square will be the tower and AT&T's equipment. If you turn the page, kind of zooms out a little bit and gives you a little better aerial view. The tower is the yellow push pin, and the tower is 200 feet, so I showed you a 200-foot circle around the tower. We got all the woods I was talking about. Those houses to the east are about 275 or more from the from the proposed tower. If you turn the page again, you see kind of another photo zoomed out even more. The blue circle shows the search area. That is the area where AT&T needed the tower to be in order to get the coverage it needs. The yellow push pin, again, in the center of that ring is where the proposed tower is going, and the red indicator on the right side of the page is the tower that I spoke of a minute ago, which AT&T has investigated and cannot use. That tower to the right is also a lower in height than the proposed tower, which gives it some problems as well. And it's also a little bit lower in elevation. The next page is our propagation map. This kind of shows the need for the tower. This is the map I'm referring to. It's the colored map. So what you're looking at is AT&T's existing coverage in that area. So if you look around, you see the red on the outside, on the outer edges of that map. Those are existing AT&T sites. They may or may not be AT&T towers, but this is AT&T's coverage. And the red and the yellow is the coverage that AT&T is seeking to obtain. The red and the yellow is generally what we refer to as in-building coverage. So when you're in the red or yellow, you should be able to operate your AT&T device, your iPad, your laptop, your phone, inside a home and inside a building like we're in now. As you get further from each signal of the antennas, you get into the yellow and the green areas, which is the in-vehicle coverage. So you should be able to connect in the yellow areas in your car, but not necessarily in buildings. As you get into the blue area, that's the outdoor where there's really no coverage. You got to go outside and stand on your left leg and raise your right hand in order to try and get coverage. So it's the blue that we're trying to turn into red and yellow. If you turn the page, that's the exact same map with this site turned on. So you can see from that one site, which says Haynesville Road Park, that blue dot in the middle is the location of the proposed site on Ashley Road. You can see the red and the yellow coverage we get for all those residences in that area, for the travelers along Old Selma Road and West Boulevard and Ashley Road, and the businesses in that area, which are several, as you might be aware, with the wood businesses over there. Now, the second handout I handed you is the coverage from the other tower, which was 4/10 of a mile to the east, right? So you can see there is some coverage there, but it doesn't extend west enough. So it doesn't meet AT&T's requirements. And AT&T then can't use it because it's not getting the areas that it's intended to cover. Now that includes, like I said, residences and businesses and travelers along West Boulevard, Ashley Road, Old Selma Road, Wells Road, Country Estate subdivision to the west, several other subdivisions. Those are specific target areas where AT&T has had complaints that their tower hits those areas, but this other tower does not. Also, the Hyundai Mobis plant, a very important target for AT&T. Again, their site hits that and this doesn't. So, if you turn the page, and this is probably the more accurate map here, the second map on the second handout I gave you. The red color shows where the proposed site we're here about meets AT&T's coverage objectives. The blue is where the other tower would meet it. So because there's so much more red on this map, which is comparing these two towers, this is the benefit that AT&T gets and that its customers get. Now, we're not just talking cell phone coverage here, right? We're talking 911 access, we're talking emergency responders. All of that depends on our wireless network, right? Landlines are going away. Cell phone's going to be our only means of communication. We're trying to get this neighborhood in this area up to speed with other parts of Montgomery. And with that, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer.
Tell us about the gravel drive.
So the gravel drive, actually it'll extend off Ashley Road on that blue line. It'll be 12-foot wide gravel, but we have a 30-foot wide access easement, so we'll have plenty of space on either side.
Well, we've always been concerned about keeping gravel out of a
That's right.
paved road.
We'll deal with
Any ideas on that?
Yes, sir. We'll deal with AlDOT. If AlDOT requires a lip, which they usually do, then we'll put
Maybe
a lip in
as
there.
part of the apron or whatever.
An apron, exactly.
Okay, so we'll leave that up to you and AlDOT.
Yes, sir. And that'll be part of the building permit process we'll have to go through.
Okay. Is Ashley Road a state right-of-way or is that county?
I believe it's a county road. I've got it as County Road 54 on the survey.
You're going to be probably dealing with county rather than AlDOT.
Right.
Okay?
Good point, yes.
But whatever they require,
We will meet.
gravel can be an issue.
Yes,
as you
sir.
know.
Agreed.
Okay? Any other questions, board members?
Yes, I visited the neighborhood and talked to some of the residents, and they asked me different questions, and I'm going to ask this question that they asked me. And if you look at this sheet right here, you'll see where there are those who do not wish for this tower to go there. They asked me that the tower that is there, is it owned by Alabama Power?
No, ma'am, it's not. It's owned by a company called SBA, which is a big publicly traded company.
Okay, that's the one that I saw as I looked up there.
Yes, ma'am. That's the one I'm referring to on the other side of West Boulevard, almost a half mile away.
Okay, it's the one that I'm talking about where you have the stakes in the ground is right across from those stakes. It's in the same area.
Right, where we had the stakes in the ground, if you're looking at this property, that's where the proposed compound in the tower will be. There's a big power line easement not far from where we're going, just a couple hundred feet. So we had to be off of that power line easement as well.
So that Alabama Power tower.
Yes, ma'am, there is Alabama Power power lines. Maybe that's what you're referring to.
No, it's a tower.
Yes, ma'am, they're
Tall
huge.
tower that is there.
They're about the same size as what we're trying to build.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, then you're talking about
That's
the same
right.
one I'm talking. Now they asked me another question. They asked me, did it give off any kind of radiation?
So
The
this is,
houses that are located right next door and in that area, they asked me, and I couldn't tell them whether they gave off radiation or not. I told them that I would ask you when you came to the meeting.
sure, fair question. It's a radio signal, that's all it is. So your phone is a radio and it talks to the cell tower. It's just a radio signal going back and forth. So
Okay.
no radiation.
No radiation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, we did look at this sheet, right? For the ones who said that they did
Yeah.
not wish it to be there.
Yeah, most of them though had no response.
That's
No,
right.
no,
So
they wouldn't come to the door.
Yeah,
But-
most of them had zero response.
But some of the ones that I talked with, they hadn't even seen the sign out there that said something is going up. And
Okay.
they couldn't answer any of my questions because they hadn't noticed the sign.
So what that sheet is you have, Ms. Brown, is to show you how we've done our homework here, right? We're not just plotting down a cell tower in the first available spot. We need to look all within that search ring. We start in the middle because that's where we need to be. We were fortunate enough to find a piece of property that meets the zoning ordinance, right? We don't need any variances to go here, just the special exception. It's got to be buildable, right? We've got to be able to construct on it. We've got to have a willing landowner, right? If we don't have somebody willing to lease us property, we can't put a tower there.
And
So that's what we have
some of
here.
the owners said that they did wish it to be there because when the customers come to the business, the communicative thing is hard to obtain.
Well, and that's why we're going there, is for the coverage, right? And then also with COVID, you know, the schooling at home, the working at home, this is intended to hit those residential areas for that reason as well.
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
Would there be any objection to you guys putting, I don't know what you call it, but basically making it look like a tree rather than just a cell tower? Like
So-
we've required that in other cell towers.
So, and we've worked with you guys, the one out at Wind Lakes, we've
Right.
got a tree. The difference here is, and I would caution against that because of the height of this one. Those work well, the trees, when we're building a 120, 130-foot tower amongst 90 or 100-foot trees, and it blends in. This one's going to be 200 feet tall, and it's going to stick out. It's going to be so much higher than those trees. Those trees are good that are here because they'll hide the base. You know, they'll hide the view from the base. You know, could we? Yes, we didn't offer it here, but for those reasons, we just didn't think it matched up here. And after talking with the staff, I think that's the conclusion everybody came to.
Any other questions? Any other questions, board members? Is anyone in the audience that would care to address this item? If so.
Board members, can you, all right, this is not working.
You better hold it.
Yeah, you may have.
You're
to
kidding,
hold
right?
it.
There we go, there we go. My name is Nicole Hardy. I thank you for your time today. I am here on behalf of my client SBA, who you've already discussed somewhat today. SBA is an independent owner and operator of wireless communications infrastructure, which are towers. As you know, the applicant or the appellant to the board is seeking a special exception for a 75 by 75 foot compound. That's what it's called, a compound, to place a 200-foot tall tower. I'm rounding up, it's actually 199, and I understand the significance, I think you understand the significance of that. At 200, it requires lighting. So when I say 200, I'm exaggerating slightly, but it's 199 feet tall. As a threshold matter, with all due deference to the board members here, I have yet to understand in the ordinances why this matter should not be viewed as a variance versus a special exception. I have reviewed the uses for the two properties that are at issue here, one being zoned R65D and the other one being zoned, it's a residential, agriculture residential zone. And the uses delineated in the ordinance do not include, as far as I can tell, anything related to a cell phone tower. And so therefore, it not being a permitted use or a permitted on appeal, a use that's permitted on appeal, to me, by my reading, it would be a variance. The significance being the burden for the applicant or the appellant on seeking a variance is much higher than it is for a special exception. But in either standard, either case, I don't think that the applicant or the appellant here can sustain that burden to warrant a special exception or a variance, if the case may be.
Tanya, do you have an answer to that question?
A special exception is a use permitted on appeal under Article 7, Section 1 as a public utility. We've always done cell towers under this clause. Unless it's in a commercial or industrial district, all cell towers in any other district are a special exception.
Okay, if you don't mind, 7-1.
Article 7, Section 1B.
Okay, I appreciate that. I just wanted to pose that question procedurally, but...
And the board accepts that explanation, and we'll go forward based on that.
Thank you. Be that as it may, under the special exception standard, I don't believe that the appellant can demonstrate or has demonstrated to the board that special exceptions, that there are any conditions or safeguards that are appropriate to support the award or the grant of a special exception. There simply are no number of shrubs or cypress trees that can be put in that area to preserve the character of the residential area of that neighborhood. I would like to respond to some specific comments from Mr. Rodenstrike about the perceived need. Sorry, is that too much feedback?
No, that's good.
Okay. The perceived need for this new tower. If I may, Mr. Rodenstrike already addressed the fact that there is a tower already there, and I'm going to provide the board with
Thank you.
Thank you.
The existing tower has already been discussed. I could not see did not see the exhibits that were provided to the board, so I've provided my own. They may or may not be consistent, I don't know, but this is what our client has prepared as reflecting the current location, the location of their tower that exists currently relative to the proposed tower. And it is 0.28 miles away.
I'm sorry, how far?
Sorry?
How far?
0.28 miles.
Okay.
A quarter mile, basically.
Can
Mr.
I ask
Rodenstrike?
something?
Yeah.
Is it appropriate?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you represent SBA?
I do.
Who has a competing tower?
Correct.
Okay. I just want to make that clear.
Right, yeah.
Not only is it a competing tower, but it's a competing tower that is ready, willing, and able to lease space to Tillman or AT&T, who's the carrier that would use that. And I have provided you, so Exhibit A shows you the relative distance between the two towers. Exhibit B is a site summary, and this contains the specifications for the tower that exists there currently, and has one tenant and has plenty of available capacity for AT&T to use. This tower was not constructed by SBA. I believe it was constructed maybe by T-Mobile in, I believe, 2007. SBA, my client, acquired it some years later, but they are the current owner. The page 2 of this document begins to address the capacity that exists on the tower, and it gets a little bit beyond my technical understanding. But I would like to be clear, it is my understanding, subject to being corrected, it is my understanding that our client has not been contacted for potential use of the space on our tower. And it is also my understanding that my client is ready, willing, and able to lease space, all the space that AT&T would need to provide coverage. So the claim that this tower is necessarily to provide coverage for AT&T, it can be accomplished with the tower that's there and without disrupting the character of the neighborhood as it exists right now with an additional unnecessary duplicative tower.
So I have a question.
Okay.
Does the proposed cell tower impair the effectiveness of the existing SBA tower? Would it?
I don't know of a reason that it would, but again, I'm limited in my knowledge of the technology. I don't know of a reason, but I would be happy to have that as a matter that the board would like me to investigate and provide evidence on.
So, do you agree or disagree with the coverages that he actually provided and stated the fact that if they went to your tower, they would not be able to accomplish a large enough coverage area?
Called propagation,
Okay.
I believe. Propagation map.
You got me, but anyway, I'll go with that.
Coverage. We'll go with coverage.
Do you agree or disagree with what?
I have not seen those exhibits. Even if I had, I cannot say that I would be able to answer your question. That would be a question for my client. I do believe this was, the application was submitted timely. However, my client, I believe, did not get notice of this and did not have time to prepare its own propagation study or coverage map, and would like to do so to answer the question, can the current tower that sits there provide the coverage that AT&T needs?
Tanya, is that the case that they didn't get any notice?
No, we post signs and run legal ads just like any other item.
Okay. Secondly, is it your client's concern that if they put up a 199-foot tower, that other cell companies will begin using them to put their antennas on their tower and move away from your tower?
We currently have one tenant.
Okay.
And I don't know the percentage of capacity remaining, but it's a large percentage of capacity remaining on the tower. So naturally, two towers side by side, you can't say with a straight face that you wouldn't be concerned that one tenant might leave and go to the other tower.
But that's just general business, right? I mean, it's
correct.
competition, whatever it may be. I mean, that's.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
May I proceed? For
Sure. Sorry to interrupt you, but.
That's okay. I appreciate your questions.
I do want to ask.
All right, we'll come back to Andy in a minute.
Andy something.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Please proceed.
Exhibit C is called a structural analysis report, and that was prepared on February 4th of 2021, and that shows the remaining capacity for the tower as it sits as of February 2021. And then I provided you with Exhibit D and Exhibit E, which are site development plans, and then Exhibit D also showing capacity of the tower as it sits. There are a couple of points that I did want to address with in response to what Mr. Rodenstrike said. First, we have to view this within the framework that AT&T Tillman is requesting a special exception.
Compare the two. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
View these issues against the framework that AT&T and Tillman are requesting a special exception to put a 200-foot tower in a residential, primarily residential area. Mr. Rodenstrike told the board that they first looked for an existing tower, and there was a tower within a mile. I wanted to be very clear that it's 0.28 miles away. I've shown you that in Exhibit A, and that they weren't able to get on. Again, subject to being corrected, I don't believe that there was any effort to see if the space on the existing tower could be used.
But isn't your existing tower at or very near an existing residential neighborhood?
It is zoned in.
Regardless of the zoning, I mean, I'm looking at an aerial, it appears here that your tower's on the border of an existing neighborhood, or is that something else?
No, you're right, Mr. Stanley. You're right.
It is in a B2 commercial zone area. I can't speak to the neighborhoods that are there, but I can say that if you can provide the same coverage on a tower that exists, whether it be by a neighborhood or not, why put another tower by another neighborhood?
Yeah, I understand, but you brought up the fact that their proposed tower is at a neighborhood. Your tower is already at a neighborhood.
The one we purchased from T-Mobile, you're correct.
Right, okay.
Does yours have the tree branches on it or not?
I do not know.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't? Okay.
Okay.
We discussed the RF study or the propagation coverage map. I do know that my client would like the opportunity to prepare that for the tower themselves, and that would really answer the question of whether or not the current tower would provide sufficient coverage. Mr. Rodenstrike addressed the difference in the elevation. Yes, there's a difference, it's 4 feet. I believe, my understanding is the SBA tower is 4 feet lower elevation as far as the land that it sits on. The current SBA...
What about the height of the tower?
I'm so sorry.
What is the height of the
I was
SBA?
just gonna get to that. The SBA tower is 180 feet. However, I have confirmed with my client that it is agreeable at its cost, no cost to AT&T or to Tillman, to extend it by up to 190, I'm sorry, some documents say that it's 100, I think I misspoke, just 1 second. The current tower is 180 feet. It is approved up to 193 feet, I believe, and the additional footage needed between the 180 to get to 189 can be done by SBA, will be done by SBA to the extent that that would make it more attractive to AT&T for coverage purposes. And because of that, the extension being less than 20 feet, my understanding is also that it would be done relatively easily, not a lot of approval process required because it's a less than 20-foot extension. Whereas if you get 20 foot or higher, I believe, or maybe over 20 feet, it goes to the National Environmental Policy Act, and that just won't be applicable here. Meaning getting the tower to the exact same height that AT&T wants is feasible, doable, and would take much less time than building a whole new tower.
Okay.
Let's see if there had any other notes. I do think that's all I have. I appreciate your time. I respectfully request that the board deny the application or the appeal for the special exception to allow the building of a cell phone tower.
Okay. Well, we will allow the petitioner to come back and address your comments, and give us some indication, is he willing to work with you to? Okay.
Thank you. We appreciate that SBA is ready, willing, and able, and if that tower worked for AT&T to get the coverage in that area that AT&T needs, AT&T would be on there. AT&T is a tenant on thousands of SBA towers across the country. This one didn't work. So did we call SBA? No, because the tower would not work from an engineering perspective. If it did, they would get a call from AT&T, and AT&T would be a tenant on their tower. Yes, sir.
Andy, what's the, if they were to raise it to 199 feet, would that do anything for the coverage, or would it still be the same?
So they're limited. She said to 193. I'm not sure what. According to the city, she's approved to 180. So I don't know how they would get above that.
Well, they would probably come and ask.
Right, but
just
the
like you are.
FAA may have approved them to 193, which may be what she's talking about. So they cannot go above 193. The other issue is, so it's not very much different in the elevation of the ground. But as she said, there's already a tenant on that tower, T-Mobile. So if AT&T were to go on there, they'd have to go 15 feet below the existing tenant, right? AT&T would not get the top spot. So then they would be below, which would drop the elevation and being 0.3 of a mile away.
So if they were able to add to 199, could they not get the top spot?
T-Mobile would want the top spot.
Could you not? But if they agreed to give you the top spot, would that help?
It would help, but it would not change because I asked that question of AT&T.
Okay. Secondly, what else am I going to ask you? Let's see. You can come back to me. I'll think of it in a second.
No worries. The bottom line here is it just doesn't work from an engineering perspective. We would go on it. AT&T would go on it. They do that every day.
I got it. What is the difference in cost to AT&T to go on their tower or build your own tower?
Astronomical.
So there's obviously a reason that you would.
Well,
I mean,
yes.
For a business purposes, you would want to
perspective.
use their tower if you could.
Right.
Because financially, it would be significantly less.
Significantly less. And that's one of the issues, that if SBA tower did work from an engineering perspective, they'd have to look at the cost. And the cost with going on SBA tower is more than double what it would be to go to Tillman. So look, I mean, Mr. Holmes and Mr. Markham, you guys said it. If it worked from an engineering perspective, this is about competition, right? Tillman competes with SBA. SBA does not want Tillman to build this tower because they want AT&T's revenue. And if it worked for AT&T, they would get it, but it doesn't.
So, and you being 199 feet, they're obviously 180 feet. Other cell companies may come to you guys before they would go to them.
That's right.
Okay.
It would be built, the tower we're building will hold at least 3 carriers.
Okay. That's already agreed to. You already have those people lined up.
Well, AT&T's lined up. Now T-Mobile, if they find that the Tillman location is better, they may move. I don't, that's be up to T-Mobile.
Okay.
Any other questions of the petitioner?
I need to look over this information and get a better understanding of what's going on between the two of them.
Well, I think we've done a pretty good job getting it out on the table here. You're welcome to continue looking, but we're going to vote on this one way or the other tonight.
I'm not
Unless
telling you
there's
not
a
to
delay.
vote, so don't throw that in my face.
well-
What I'm saying is that since she has come forward with the information that she has come forward with, I did not have that information, and I really don't understand all of this because I haven't had a chance to look over it and read it and digest it.
She didn't put anything in there coverage-wise, as Ms. Brown. The only thing really in there is talking about the difference in the height and things of that nature. I mean, there's.
That's right. Ms. Brown, what
she
she gave
provide
you,
that information.
what she gave you was simply information that said their tower would structurally hold SBA's equipment, but because it doesn't work to get AT&T the coverage that they need, that is really a non-issue.
Right. Let's see.
It's totally a non-issue.
It's a non-issue.
Yeah. Any other questions of the petitioner? I'm going to allow you to come back. Do you have something else you want to say to this? Excuse me?
Just a couple of remarks, if I may.
Sorry.
A couple of remarks. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to allow you, but he's going to be given the last say, so you can have one more comment if you'd like, or two, or whatever.
Thank you. Just a couple factual points. The board addressed the key point there that we are willing to bring the tower to the exact same height that AT&T currently is requesting, and that footage, that extension above 180, I don't know of any reason that it could not be exclusive to AT&T if that were agreed upon between the two. Even as it exists, there's the range from 150 to 160 to 170 feet currently that is available. The point about competition is interesting, but we've got to consider allowing a competing 200-foot tower in the backyards of these residential areas. So it's not just a straight analysis of let the two towers compete. That's where it comes to whether the applicant has sustained a burden to be granted a special exception to place this tower in this residential area. If I may, I would request that SBA be given the opportunity. I don't know if the procedural request is to delay or to continue the petition, but the opportunity to prepare its own propagation maps and RF studies to show what the coverage is. That will answer the question. And also address the extension of the exact capacity, as well as the 20-foot extension on the tower. Thank you.
Thank you. Andy, you want to wrap it up?
I'm okay with a delay.
So, Tanya, do they have that last sheet? Yeah.
I'm okay with it. Huh? You are? Or him? Ask Andy one more thing. Yeah, okay. I'm okay with a delay.
What Tanya's handing out are photographs of the SBA tower. I want you to see how close those are to the two houses. There's actually three houses.
Yeah, it doesn't really look
So
very good.
we are going to be more than our tower height away from any house. So we're further away from houses than the SBA tower. As far as the propagation maps go that she would like to delay our application and bring you propagation maps, they will not tell you anything about AT&T's coverage because they, SBA, does not have AT&T's proprietary information to run those propagation maps. Any maps that SBA brings you are not going to be accurate. Only AT&T's maps are going to show what AT&T's coverage can be.
Okay.
So with that said, I'll answer any questions.
Andy?
Why are you saying they're not going to be accurate?
Because they don't have AT&T's information to plug into the computer to spit out the maps. That's AT&T's proprietary information. SBA does not have that. Only AT&T knows what its coverage is and what it can do.
Andy?
Yes, sir.
Are you willing to go on record and state that AT&T's coverage will not be the same or very close to the same if you were the top spot on a 199-foot tower of SBA's?
Based on what I know, I am. I haven't seen what they can do from that. I've given you the propagation maps we have. If they came to us and said that tower is under construction to be up to 199, I'd say let's go back and take a look, but it's not.
Okay. So here's what I propose. I propose that we delay. I would like for SBA to come up with whatever they need to come up with.
Thank you.
And I would like for you guys to go back, based on you being the top dog at 199 feet, what your coverage area is compared to what you provided us today. And let's see how it is. Because really, we don't want two towers if we don't have
Certainly.
to in that little small area.
Certainly, but look at ours too and being how far it'll be
No,
from the houses.
I agree that it would be further.
Right.
It's still two in one little area.
Sure.
But so
We're happy to do
please
that.
provide that information, and if the coverage is different, if it wouldn't work, then it won't work. But
Fair
at
enough.
least we need to take a look at it.
Fair enough.
Okay,
Thank you.
Do you have a motion to that effect?
I'd like to make a motion that we delay.
I second.
Have a motion to delay and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
Item number 11, presented by Norris Building, representing Alabama Orthopedic Specialist.
Hey,
How
good
you
evening.
doing?
How you doing, Mr.
Yeah,
Stanley?
fine. Good
I'm
to
Trey
see you
Norris.
again.
I'm with Norris Building
Good to
Company.
see you, Trey.
Good to see you. We're in the process of renovating these two buildings for Alabama Orthopedic Specialists. The one on the Woodmere Boulevard and Lomax Street corner is currently under construction. The one you see on the map is the Pavilion Building. We're about to start that in July. AOS wants to move their sign from directly in front of the building, basically in the parking lot, out to the street corner of Meadowgate Drive and Woodmere Boulevard. The reason for that is the low visibility. When you have cars parked beside it on both sides in the parking lot, it's hard for patients and people to see the sign when they're driving down the road, so they want to move it out to the corner. We've tried to squeeze it in the landscape area as close to the back of the curb as we can, but we're still getting in to some side yard, front yard, and height issues, and so I'm requesting a variance on those three items.
Okay. So it's not considered to be a anything that might affect traffic sightability, anything like that?
That's
It's
correct.
back far enough from the intersection, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Woodmere Boulevard.
Yeah, that's where my
Okay.
office is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's angled, it's gonna be on that corner, right, Trey?
Yes, sir. It'll be on the corner.
At an
It'll be
angle.
At an angle, yes, sir.
Okay. Meadowgate is low travel, traffic anyway. Okay, any question, board members?
Accept the motion.
I'll accept a motion.
I move that we approve the 12 feet, 2.5 inch front yard variance, 4 feet, 4 inch street side yard variance, 0 feet, 10.5 inch height variance.
Have a second?
Second.
Mr. Howell seconds. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand. You got it.
Okay,
Thank you, Trey.
very good. Thank
Tell
you,
your
sir.
dad I said hello.
Thank you all.
All right. Have a motion to approve the minutes.
They're good.
Mr. Howell? Second. Mr. Markham? All in favor of adjourning this meeting? Say aye.
Yeah.